Hey Eagles fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into the Eagles Report, and today, let's take a look at 4 cornerbacks the Eagles could be targeting in the upcoming 2020 free agency period. Before we start though, we are almost at 3,000 subscribers. We might already be there if you have watched this video a couple of days late. If we are not there yet, or if we are, doesn't matter. Subscribe to the fastest growing Eagles channel here on YouTube. 3,000 subscribers in a little over 3 months. Unbelievable. Also, thumbs up if the Eagles should go ahead and get a cornerback in free agency. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so go ahead and start like we did with our wide receiver video just a couple of days ago and preview how much money the Eagles can do with that here this offseason. Right now, they're projected to have about $46.5 million going into free agency. That's via overthecap.com. It could become higher. We talked about this. Previous videos on the channel, check them out. We did a full cap breakdown a couple of days ago. But basically, it's going to be anywhere from $46.5 up to $60 million, depending on cuts, depending on trades, depending on not re-signing people. There's a lot of different variations, but at minimum, it's looking like between $40 and $46 million in free cap space, which is a ton of money in terms of going out and having some weapons and some firepower to go ahead and bring in either wide receiver, a cornerback, a linebacker, pass rusher. There are a lot of needs that we already talked about. The Eagles really need to go out and get in the 2020 free agency. And you have 10 plus picks in the 2020 draft. So you have an off season. We've said this many times. That is probably the best offseason for Philadelphia to add and acquire talent that we've seen in a very, very long time. Now, they're always active at the trade deadline. They're always active in free agency. They always have good drafts for the most part, but this could be an extra special offseason upcoming here in 2020 where the Eagles can really set the future of their franchise in motion here, building up what they already have, replacing a lot of the older players that we all really know that they need to get rid of, and then bringing in some new guys to hopefully get us another Super Bowl in the next couple of years. The big name free agents on the backside of the Eagles defense, Ronald, Darby, and Jalen Mills are both going to be free agents. Both of them are looking for long-term deals, and I would not be surprised at all if Philadelphia lets Darby and Mills both walk in free agency because they've had their bright spots. Remember, Jalen Mills, one of the best cornerbacks on our squad during that Super Bowl run. Arguably, Darby was across from him. Both of them have played well in moments, but both have obviously struggled in big game moments as well. Darby is very susceptible to stop and goes, to sluggos, Mills gets killed on those slant and goes, and Darby gets beat deep often, so I would not be surprised if they're looking to upgrade and replace both of these guys at cornerback. Now, if both these guys leave, we'll go and throw up the depth chart here. Here is who is left for your Philadelphia Eagles on the backside. Rasul Douglas, Sidney Jones, Avonte Maddox, and Craig James. Those would be your, 4 deep rotation at cornerback. And we've seen Rasul start, we've seen Sidney Jones start, we've seen Avonte Maddox start at both the slot and the outside cornerback spot as well, but none of these guys are as exciting, as trustworthy. We don't believe in these guys as much as potentially a free agent wide receiver or a draft wide receiver could be as well. I totally see the Eagles addressing cornerback, and there's an argument that wide receiver is not the biggest need Philadelphia has this year. Some people are arguing corner is the biggest need they have this year. I would still lean wide receiver, but cornerback is a very close second right now because, again, you're losing a lot of your wide receivers, maybe Alshon Jeffrey, most likely Nelson Aguilar, but you're losing, most likely, unless you want to re-sign these guys, your top 2 cornerbacks in free agency. So, without further ado, here are the 4 names. We'll start with 1 through 4 on who the Eagles are looking at and who they could sign in free agency, starting with Chris Harris Jr. Now, here's the deal. There was a report from Pro Football Focus, and I believe CBS Sports as well, that the big news around the Eagles surrounding the Senior Bowl, which is happening over the weekend, is that they are definitely looking at upgrading corner in free agency. And the truth is, there are a lot of big names here. And one of the names that was mentioned at the Senior Bowl is Denver's Chris Harris Jr. The 31-year-old 4-time Pro Bowler has been an elite shutdown corner for many years in this league. Every single year, he has had multiple interceptions except for his rookie year in 2011 and last year in 2019. Now, he's a little bit old, and I'll see a lot of comments on other videos saying, oh my goodness, we need to get younger, but he would be an upgrade over Mills and Darby on the outside. And the Eagles were linked to him at the trade deadline, this past trade deadline in 2019, where they almost pulled the trigger on a Chris Harris trade but decided to wait, and now they can target him in free agency. He is really one of the better cornerbacks we've seen in the league that does not get talked about. He was opposite of Aqib Talib at times in Denver, and there was a lot of people who didn't even really know Chris Harris's name, and yet he had not given up a touchdown in like 2 straight seasons until Antonio Brown beat him for 1 deep ball just a couple of years ago when Antonio Brown was a Steeler, so he's a little bit older. But at the same time, the Eagles have been linked to him before. They're being linked to him right now, and you might be able to get him on a deal because 2019 was probably the worst season he's had in a long time, but in reality, he's still an excellent cornerback and still has a lot of years to give. If you could get Chris Harris Jr. on a 2 or 3 year team-friendly deal, this is something the Eagles should really look into and could immediately bolster themselves on the outside. Chris Harris Jr., 31 years old, the 4-time Pro Bowler with Denver, is one of the 4 here on this list. Now, you want to go younger, but also more expensive, then look no further than Byron Jones, the Cowboy cornerback who turns 27 years old in June. Dallas might not be able to afford him. You gotta pay Amari Cooper, you gotta pay Dak Prescott, and those two are probably higher on the list than Byron Jones, who, although is not an interception machine, only 2 in his entire career, does not give up the deep ball, is a sure tackler, and has been one of the most impressive, yet not really talked about stars of the Dallas Cowboys the past couple of years. Philadelphia's played him the past couple of years, and I think we've seen it firsthand that he is a shutdown cornerback and one of the best in the league. He was Pro Football Focus's top 10 rated cornerbacks of this season. So he will most likely walk from Dallas looking for a bigger deal. So if you're going to complain in the comments saying, oh, well, Chris Harris Jr. is too old, well, here's Byron Jones, who's 4 years younger, but he's going to cost a lot more. I'd rather have Jones over Harris, but again, money could be interesting here. You want to put all of your money into one corner. You want to spread out, get a wide receiver and a corner in free agency, get 2 corners in free agency. Those are the questions you have to ask yourself with a guy like Byron Jones, but no doubt a shutdown corner. And again, if Dak Prescott's going to command $35, $37, $40 million, and you got to go pay Amari Cooper the, $17, $18 million a year that elite wide receivers are requiring, that $84 million or so that Dallas has in free cap space starts to slowly dwindle down. So I would expect Byron Jones to be out there. And much like Chris Harris Jr. at the Senior Bowl, Byron Jones was linked to being a target from Philadelphia as well. All right, other names you guys might not recognize, but still are going to be out there and could be elite for the Philadelphia Eagles. How about this one? Xavien Howard, the former Baylor cornerback all the way back in college, drafted by the Miami Dolphins in the 2nd round, and has been the best interception cornerback in the league since 2017. I think in 2018, last year, he had 7 interceptions and led the entire NFL. Now you're saying, oh my goodness, 26 years old, he gets a lot of interceptions, he's an elite cornerback, great man-to-man coverage. Why don't we immediately throw money at this guy? Well, there's a caveat here. He was arrested in December for domestic violence charges and is awaiting discipline from the National Football League, awaiting trial, really, to kind of figure that out, and then the NFL would discipline him accordingly. It's very likely that Xavien Howard is suspended for a portion of the 2020 NFL season. It could be 4 games, it could be 2 games, it could be 8 games, it could be the entire season. Remember, domestic violence is something the NFL is cracking down on more and more as of late, and he's a guy that many teams might overlook because of this whole charge here. But if he gets cleared, and again, we have no idea what's going to happen. If he gets cleared and the NFL clears him as well, then you could have a steal for a lot cheaper, and he might be the best in terms of upside cornerback because of his age on this list. Xavien Howard, a guy I covered when I went to Baylor, an excellent cornerback there, turned into an even better one in Miami. I know the Dolphins would like to keep him. The domestic violence thing makes things very interesting here. I'm torn on if Philadelphia should even look at a guy like this. I think you can argue for both sides. You know, he hadn't been convicted yet, just charged. He hasn't been punished by the NFL. But if he's going to miss games, then I would stay away. I think Philadelphia must do their due diligence to try and figure out how much he could be disciplined, whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8, or nothing. That is going to factor in. But Xavien Howard, another name on this list Philadelphia could look at in a very free agent cornerback heavy draft. Final name here, it's actually Logan Ryan. I looked at a bunch of other cornerbacks because trust me, free agency is packed with wide receivers. It's packed with cornerbacks, whereas the NFL draft this year, packed with wide receivers, kind of light on corners. You might be able to sneak one out in the middle to late round of the first round, but after that, everyone's saying, all the experts, that the cornerbacks in the draft are not that great. So if you want to get your wide receiver, you can wait to the NFL draft and address it in free agency, as we're showing here a lot of big names. Logan Ryan, the 28-year-old corner, out of the Tennessee Titans. He's going to be a free agent. He just finished up his $30 million contract there, 4 interceptions in 2019, and is looking for another big deal. Tennessee, they have 18 free agents this year, so they got to kind of look elsewhere, try and figure out who they're going to sign. So you could see, much like with Byron Jones, you could see Logan Ryan being a free agent casualty of a winning football team, as Tennessee was winning 9 games, then obviously going to the AFC title game. The thing about Logan Ryan, and why I chose him over some other corners that I could have put on this list, and trust me, you just Google the full list of cornerbacks that are available in free agency. There's a ton of them. Great leadership qualities, great ball hawking abilities, but can also fill holes in terms of tackling. He's a great tackler, one of the better tackling corners in the National Football League, constantly helps in run support, and can even kind of blitz off the edge in times. He's kind of a not Malcolm Jenkins type player, because Jenkins plays the safety spot. Logan Ryan, a true corner, but he has a Swiss Army knife, playing multiple roles. tight to him. He can play in the slot. He'd be an excellent addition to the Eagles defense because as we've seen, Jim Schwartz takes a guy like Malcolm Jenkins and he plays him all around that defense. And if you have the flexibility there, why not go ahead and get a guy like Logan Ryan? The question is, how much money is it going to cost to go ahead and sign him? Same question for all these guys. We'll have to have that. We'll go ahead and wait and see. Question for you guys here. Which cornerback out of the 4 should the Philadelphia Eagles sign this offseason? Is there another name or is it one of these 4? Let me know in the comment section down below. There you go. There's our list. 4 cornerbacks the Eagles should sign this offseason, could sign this offseason. Again, this is not just me throwing out random names. There was a report that took place a couple days ago at the Senior Bowl that Philadelphia is focused at adding a lot of talent on the backside of that defense at the cornerback spot. Chris Harris Jr., Byron Jones are 2 of those big name players, but it's a matter of how much money will they command. Could you look elsewhere at a guy potentially being suspended by the NFL and Xavien Howard, or a guy like Logan Ryan, who's kind of overlooked by other teams, but has produced time and time again on the field for the Tennessee Titans? We'll have to wait and see. But anyway you look at this, Eagles are going to be spending money. They're going to be getting wide receivers. They're going to have new corners. They could have a very different team than what we're seeing or what we saw in 2019. The question is, are you going to build through the draft? You build through free agency, a combination of the two. You go all wide receiver in the draft, none in free agency, all in free agency, none in the draft. Same with corner. There's a lot of questions, and we're going to try to give you guys as much content, as many answers as we can here on the Eagles Report, the fastest growing Eagles channel here on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, click the red subscribe button, click the notification bell. We'd greatly appreciate that. Also, thumbs up the video. 3 videos a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday here on the channel. So we'll hopefully get you guys a ton of great content, a lot of draft stuff coming up here as well. We'll do some mocks in the coming days and weeks. For the Eagles Report, all the time we have for today, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Did you like that video? Thanks for watching, but why don't you click this video right here, because we did it just a couple of days ago, and guess what? It's about the Eagles too. Like that video? Why don't you subscribe right down here? That way you're notified whenever we release more videos here on the Eagles Report. It's the fastest growing Eagles channel here on YouTube. Video, subscribe, click them right now. Go ahead, click them.